What's up, everybody? We're back with the Buffalo Fanatics Film Session Live. I'm your co-host, Clay Troy, and over here we've got
Kendall Mursky. How is everyone doing? It's probably a bit of a tough, grim week, but I hope people are taking the positives from it, because there were a lot of positives to grab from that second half. Obviously, we all wish it could have been a little bit better in the first half and probably wouldn't be talking as negatively as we are this week, but take away some positives, because there were some positives to take away.
Yeah, definitely. And, it was a real heartbreaker just because of how it went down and, some of the circumstances that they had to go through. And, but there were a lot of positives. It kind of sucks that they weren't able to get that win, because I think if they, if a couple more plays go right, or, if a couple calls go a different way, we're having a completely different discussion about what happened. And, all of a sudden it's all the Bills are back. So
it's funny, because that's kind of been the narrative the whole season. Like, I'm pretty sure we're 0-5 in one-score games, and that's very unlikely. And I think the Colts are right there at like 1-4 in one-score games. Like, good teams sometimes lose those close games. Last year, we were on the more fortunate side of that coin, and we were winning those one-score games. It's not always going to roll our way, so we got to roll with the punches and do what we can to get ourselves into the playoffs, because that second half showed us we can hang and we can beat any team in the league. It's just about being consistent.
Yeah, and the consistency is really the thing that I think is what they're lacking, or at least it kind of felt like they were lacking earlier on in the season. They couldn't string any wins together, and that's still the case right now. But to me, it kind of feels like the 2020 Chargers, where it's like, wow, this is a really good team, and they just can't win any of their close games.
At least we're not blowing. At least we're not blowing leads like the Chargers or like the Falcons, like that, where we're losing close games in that way. We're kind of like clawing our way back into it, and then we can't get it done in the last moment. Probably speaks to our red zone woes of this season relative to last year, but yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, the red zone definitely has been an issue, but yeah, definitely good to see that they're at least making comebacks and sticking with it. And I think the game kind of showed a little bit of grit, and especially from Josh Allen. So, yeah, thank you for everyone that's joined us so far. We got Mickey, Let's Go Buffalo, Chris S, familiar face in the chat, Rough Buff, Tyler Serdovan. I'm really bad with names. I'm so sorry, but Rico in the chat as well, Jeffrey Danger, Richard Forbes. Thank you guys for joining us. Yeah, definitely a tough game. I'm going to let you start with your film, and we're going to start with your MVP and talk about him a little bit, because it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, we're going to try to keep it as light as possible, because, I mean, after that Pats loss and this, we got to try and keep it positive. Let's keep it positive moving forward. We got 4 more games. Let's talk about what's good about this team, because it's not broken. We still got number 17 under center, and Josh Allen was great. Obviously, that first half was a little meh. He was making plays in the first half, but once again, like we talked about earlier, red zone woes. But he's still far and away the best player on this team. And at this point, it kind of comes down to surrounding him with talent, so he doesn't have to feel all that pressure, and his foot doesn't have to take all the pressure and all that stuff. Yes, Jason, we got all 22 this week, thankfully. All 22 is kind of weird this week. It's a little grainy, so apologies that we couldn't get the resolution a little bit better. Anyways, Josh Allen. So I believe this is the second drive in the second quarter, something like that. He just slung it this drive. Like he was killing it this drive. This is the anticipation throw to Diggs here. He was just rocking and rolling this entire drive. Unfortunately, we could only get 3 on it. I guess I'm just going to hammer home the red zone woes. This is a really nice play. Obviously, I talked about the anticipation. You can see the cover 2 shell. I'll slow it down a little bit. You can see that it's a cover 2 shell in man coverage underneath, and he's just staring down Diggs, which is kind of something I don't love, but it is Diggs. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. And because he's staring him down, he knows exactly when to throw that ball at the top of the route, and he gets it right on the money. And him and Diggs, that chemistry, it's just it shows on a route like this, because this is a deep dig route, and you got to put it on the money on this. Like, this is not an easy throw. What is that, like 23 air yards, something like that? It's a very impressive throw to see it with man coverage and just know, all right, on this break, I trust my man. Just got to put it out in front of him, and he's just going to go pluck it out of the air. And that's exactly what Diggs does on this.
Yeah, the chemistry is just so good on this, and Josh Allen starts to throw the ball at the same point that Diggs starts to make his break. It's like they're so in sync, where they just know where the other is going to be like that, and so that's something that we've seen them grow throughout their relationship. And yeah, it's a really good throw. Joshy's got a little bit of pressure in the face. Someone coming up the middle there, stays in the pocket, and that's just an absolute missile. The way he throws the football and was throwing the football and throughout this game, this reminded me of kind of, last year against the 49ers, I feel like was the last time I really saw him like, wow, he is throwing it. And especially in breaking routes, because we didn't really see, a ton of in breaking last year. And that's something that he tried to focus on this year. And that one, you can tell, paid off for sure.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that 49ers throw over Fred Warner. When I watched this live, I was thinking exactly of that throw. It's really funny you said that. But yeah, the only thing, I don't want to get too negative, but like the only thing I take away from this play negatively is this route down here. Like, I think that's McKenzie just completely beats his man off that press coverage, just totally lost. Like that man is lost. And I understand it looks open here, and Josh would have had to make a hell of a throw to put it somewhere around here, because you can see that safety is breaking inside, and that's because the ball's already released. So it looks a little bit more open than it is, because he looks like he's got a touchdown there to McKenzie. I don't think it is. It's probably more like out of bounds right here if Josh puts it on the money. So he probably could have got more yardage out of it. But, I mean, who are you going to target? Diggs or McKenzie? Like, I understand why he's tunnel visioned on Diggs here. But that's one of the things I'd like to see him improve on at the rest of this year and next year. I'd like to see him kind of scan the field a little bit more. I find that he has got stuck on his guys a little bit this year.
Yeah, definitely. But, like you said, it's Diggs, and it worked out because they have that chemistry with each other. So, yeah, when you got an arm like that, sometimes you can get away with staring your guy down a little bit.
Exactly. All right, let's get on to this second play here. So on this second play, I really love this play. Same exact drive. This is the throw to Gabe Davis. Kind of looks like a fade route. There's a lot to unpack on this play. I really love it. The Bucs drop into a cover 3, but the flat on the bottom side of the field is really put in a bind here, because you see McKenzie coming out of the backfield into a fake bubble screen, because this is Gabe Davis down here faking his blocking assignment, and then he just kind of swim moves right around him and gets upfield. And it's really just a beautiful play design, not only because of the bubble screen, but also because I believe this is Sanders. He takes this guy on the bottom deep third completely out of the area, and because this guy's flat is threatened and this guy's deep third is threatened, there's just a massive void here for Gabe Davis. And once I get over to the end zone camera, you can see how Josh manipulates this play and works with this play, because you can see him fake that check down to McKenzie early, gets the guys where he wants them to be, manipulates the defenders, and there's just a wide open Gabe Davis who had a really nice game.
Yeah, and it's just great execution, great play design, where, the Bills have run that bubble screen quite a bit. They like to run that kind of that bubble motion with their running backs. So, why not give that a little bit of a look and then sneak one over the top, and Josh puts a nice little bit of touch on it to get it out there.
Yeah, this was the play when I saw it live. I was just like, wow, Josh is he's really slinging it, because this came right after that play that you just mentioned, and I started having shades of the 49ers game. And I mean, it took a little bit for him to get there, but he did really have to take control of this game, kind of similar to that 49ers game.
Yeah.
All right, so this last one here, we got a cover 4 look from the Bucs, and you kind of see them shading it. So in a cover 4, these back 4 guys are obviously playing safety. These 3 underneath right here, they're kind of shaded over to the right because of the trips on the top side of your screen. And there's really no one down here, but that's not where the ball goes. Really, what's impressive about this is just how he fits it into this almost like a cover 2 hole shot type of throw, where you see the underneath guy playing his man Beasley on that little, I don't even know, like fake fade curl on the sideline. And then Diggs just runs an out route to the sideline, and Allen puts it right on the spot. And then this is once again speaking to that chemistry and the confidence that he has in Diggs, because he puts it to the spot, and you can see here, Diggs just gets his toe taps in. And I mean, there's a reason he has confidence in him. There's a reason that, he stares him down. Like I said, I don't love all that much, but like there's a reason it happens. And it's because these two are great together and they have that chemistry, and things are going to work. And you can kind of cheat the system a little bit by doing things you shouldn't really be doing that aren't great tendencies to have. But when you're that good, sometimes those tendencies don't really matter.
Yeah. The first thing that I noticed from this play is that it's just like such a ridiculous throw to make.
Crazy.
It's a ridiculous throw for most quarterbacks to even think about trying, because they can't fit it into a gap like that where you put enough velocity on it to get it out to where it needs to be fast enough, but with enough arc on it to get it over that guy that's covering in the flat. And he just does it perfectly, putting it right on the sideline where only Diggs can catch it. I mean, it really just doesn't get much better from a, like, how perfect of a throw it is. And he's like, every time he throws it, it just really doesn't look like he's trying. It's like he's just throwing the ball, nice and easy, 15 yards or something like that, regardless of how far it goes. And it's just amazing to watch.
Yeah. Although this is only like a 12-yard gain, it hits a lot harder. It hits a lot harder because this is really only 5 to maybe 10 guys in the league can make this throw consistently, or even have the confidence to make this throw consistently.
Right.
So yeah, we got a special one. So don't think it's all over, because you can never count 17 out.
Yeah, and I have to say, I saw a comment earlier, Rico, I'm sorry, we're not going to be talking about Tremaine Edmunds.
I was
and that's
so
because
close.
If we did, we would have taken up at least 45 minutes of our time just talking about Tremaine Edmunds. Probably.
Yeah.
We bang the drum for him all the time. He had a good game, in my opinion. I don't know what you saw. I think he had a really good game, and a couple plays that popped where it was like, oh, what is he doing? Or he didn't do the right thing, but he had a really good game to me. I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on it as well.
Yeah. So I specifically I was vindictive when I was watching the film, because obviously watching the game live, everyone on Twitter was just banging a negative drum for Edmunds. Like, this guy's got to be cut. Like, we got to move on from him, all this stuff. So I immediately jumped in the film and I watched him, and I watched him only when I was watching defensive snaps. I'm not going to go as far to say that he had a really good game, but I think he had an average to above average game with some mistakes, because there's always going to be mistakes. And I think that's the key that we need to learn. Like, yes, the mistakes and that 1 3rd and 1 in overtime mistake, like, that's a huge mistake, and it does hold more weight than, normal mistakes. But we have to count the good plays too, and just the mediocre 1/11th plays. Like, they all count together. You can't just aggregate the bad ones and just not even think about the good ones. So there were a lot of plays where you're not going to notice him because he's just doing his job, just little simple doing his job stuff. And I mean, I think I've one clip that could speak to that, but it's really minor. Point I'm trying to make is, like, I don't want to bring up Tremaine Edmunds film session stuff because it's just too polarizing. Like, you're right. Like, we would take 45 minutes just getting through 3 plays of Tremaine Edmunds because the chat would just blow up. I want to talk about him. I want to put it to bed, but it's just not worth it. Some people, regardless of the facts, they're dug in, and that's just how it's going to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it, folks. Tremaine Edmunds does not suck. He should not get cut. And that's that. So, we can stop worrying about Tremaine Edmunds. I didn't watch him with a close eye or anything, but I saw him pop in a lot of positive ways. So, he definitely wasn't a
A
detriment to the team.
liability.
Yeah,
I think that's the
exactly.
word that I saw a lot. A
Yeah.
liability.
He
Like,
was not a liability. He was, yeah, I think he had a pretty average game, I guess.
yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to my MVP, and it's still Josh Allen. Because who else would it be? It's Josh Allen. He had such a hell of a game. How can we only talk about 3 plays of his? So starting off, this is kind of similar to similar of a throw anyway to what you were looking at with Diggs over the middle, but this one's
Yes.
against a zone scheme this time, and that's Sanders that's just sitting in that soft spot in the zone there for Josh Allen to rip it in there. And I like this one just because he's looking beyond the first level, and sometimes I think he can get locked on a little bit in games where he's trying to get a rhythm going on that shorter level and just making quick little passes. But he does keep his eyes up here, and he sees the gap, and he knows where Sanders is going to sit, and he makes a really nice throw. And again, this one with the amount of velocity that it had on it, and super good placement as well. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really stare him down too much. I think from the eyes, he kind of looks like he kind of works his way over, or if nothing else, it's just kind of looking straight down the middle to
Right.
hold,
Peripherals.
to hold that linebacker right in that
Mhm.
spot as to not drift over into Emmanuel Sanders' zone. But yeah, this is just one of those drop it back and rip it type of a plays, and it's
Yeah.
just one of the ones that I like to watch.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really good play. I agree. I almost picked this one. It's the same drive that I had my first 2 plays from. He, like I said, he was killing it this drive. But no, I really like this play because of a lot of what Sanders did here. I'm kind of curious if this is an option route because you can see Devin White get deep there. I don't know if that's technically a Tampa 2 defense, like a variation of cover 2, but he gets pretty deep there. And I don't know if Sanders can identify that, but if he has already, like maybe he was supposed to be running a deep dig route, but once he sees Devin White get that depth, you just kind of break it off into a curl route. And like you said, that's the soft spot in that Tampa 2 zone. Like that is a big soft spot. And another thing you spoke to, how he was looking at the deeper, like second level throw, I really liked it, particularly on this play, because you can see Breida is just wide open right there. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is the perfect security safety blanket. Like you look at that deep guy, the second he's not there, it's such an easy flick of the wrist for a guy like Josh Allen to just dump it down to Breida, and that's an easy
Right.
5, like pure minimum 5. And with Breida's speed, it could be maximum touchdown for all we know. So
Yeah.
I really like how he was processing this play. Like you said, just looking straight down the middle, keeping Devin White in right in between the hashes where he can make whatever throw he wants. Cause he could have, like, you can see Diggs kind of runs a similar route where he's trying to get past the second level and then kind of curls up beyond the linebackers. But Levante David is planted right in front. So he looks to the other side and Sanders is wide open. Or maybe he didn't even look to the other side. Like you said, he was looking straight down the middle where he can kind of see both of them at once. So I really like how he processed this play. And then obviously like Richard Forbes says, grip it and rip it. I mean, that's exactly what he did on this play.
Yeah, and it's a good point on if it could be an option route, because it might be, and I think it comes with a lot of Sanders' veteran savvy, where and his communication with Josh with his body language of, hey, we both know there's a guy inside, so I'm going to sit right here and you throw me the football, and I definitely think that could have been an option there. Moving on to the next play here. This is a run play, and it's a design run play. But what I really like about it is I think we all kind of forgot how athletic and fast Josh is, because we haven't really seen like a big rushing game from him in a while. And this game definitely reminded us of that. And what I like most about this is the way that he sets up the defender to miss this tackle here, and then put on the Jets to make a very good safety back there miss the angle, because he's shocking with his speed and how he's able to get up that fast. So I mean, he's the biggest threat the Bills have to run the football, I think, just because quarterbacks already have an advantage running the football, because there's one less guy around. And when he's this effective and he can make 2 guys miss like that and gain 15 extra yards because of it, it's just who else can do that, really? It's crazy.
Right. It honestly reminds me this little stutter step move he puts on Devin White, where he kind of fakes him inside and goes back outside, reminds me a lot of the move he put on Minka Fitzpatrick week 1.
Yes. Yeah.
He likes this move where it's not really a juke. It's just kind of like a step inside or a step to one side, and then he just keeps his momentum going. It's not like a firm plant to cut it. It's more just kind of like a fake cut, and he uses one foot to cut to his left and then the same left foot to cut back to his right, and he just keeps that momentum going. Not to get too petty, but guys, look, even Devin White can miss some tackles. Like, it happens. Everyone's going to have bad plays. But speaking on a macro level, as much as I love this play, like, I can't stop thinking about the offseason because I want to relieve Josh of some pressure.
Yeah.
Like, I said it last year, and it's turning into what's happening this year. This offense is Josh Allen because the offense is the passing game. And as great as our wide receivers are almost never going to make life super easy for your quarterback. Like, is life easier because we have Diggs? Yes, it's totally easier than Josh Allen's life with just John Brown. But he needs a running game where he can just hand the ball off and kind of take a break for a second, because you could see him huffing and puffing like all game. He's taking the lion's share of the offensive load, and he needs a break, man. He's got to just be able to just 3-step drop and let it rip sometimes, and then take a break, hand it off. So I don't know, that's kind of my macro on it, but you can't take the ball out of his hands completely. Like, this still has to be a part of the offense in the future, moving forward, 2022, 2023. This still has to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, this is unsustainable. Like, success with Josh Allen doing everything is unsustainable.
Yeah. And, now he's got the foot injury too, which doesn't help out at all. And so this, like you said, this isn't a sustainable way of running your offense. But if you need a spark and Josh Allen can provide it this way, he's just a world-class athlete, especially for his size. So it's just incredible.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to my last play for Josh here. And this is his touchdown run. And I like this one a lot just because I feel like he was just so frustrated up until this point and finally was able to get some of that out. Right. And really, it's nothing special from Josh. It's just, he carries out his fake very well and then fires through the hole as fast as he can. And the blockers up front did a pretty good job. Deion Dawkins just getting enough of a try on there. I can't remember what his hyphenated name is. But yeah, getting just enough here. And it's not a read option, by the way, from everything that I can tell. It's because you've got two guys pulling to come through. And so pretty sure that it's not a read option, especially because he's not really reading anyone. There's no one for him to be reading. Usually, in a read option, you don't block a guy and the quarterback reads him. So that's not happening here. So it is a designed run, and I really like the design of it. It's essentially kind of a QB power in a way with the fake going in opposite direction, and it works really well. The linebackers get sucked over with the motion, and Josh Allen can take it all the way to the end zone.
I'm honestly not so convinced it's a design. I think it's like a twofold design. I feel like this could be a false pull with a give. Like, it could just have two pullers to the left to draw the linebackers to the left. Obviously, it didn't happen on this play. Everyone went right. You can see who's that, Cockrell and Devin White in the middle there. They're flowing to the right, and it kind of looks like Josh is looking to the right of the hash there, which makes me assume he's reading 98 on the edge. But I don't know. Like, I don't know the playbook. I'm just kind of going off football knowledge, and I don't even know if I'm right. I just think, regardless of what this is, it's a good play call and it's well designed, because even if it is an option and he kept it, like, he made the right decision there. Even if it's not, it's a great play design where he has two guys right out in front of him. And when he has two guys that size out in front of him and his own ability to break tackles and use his contact balance, fall forward, all that stuff, it's a recipe for success. And I really like this play. I didn't see it going for as far as it did, but it did. And yeah, it relieved a lot of stress. You could see when he slammed that ball into the back of the end zone.
Yeah. And to me, the only reason that I really don't think that it is an option play and it's a design is because you've got a hat on all the linemen. And I think it's the design is so cool so that the backside backers, they see a zone read flow from the offensive line.
Right.
But because those are the guys in front of them, the guys on the backside, it was the two backside guys. It's the backside guard and backside tackle are pulling on this play.
Right.
So all these three guys up front are given that motion out that way. So it's almost like it looks like it's going to be a zone.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, because everyone on the left side of our perspective of the defense is flowing right because they see the linemen in front of them flowing right. Yeah, that's a good point.
And then, the guys that are over here and see that these guys are pulling, they can try and get up there if they want. But with the line flowing that way and the pullers coming around, it's just really well designed. I mean, Spencer Brown didn't even have to touch anybody. Well, he did at the end though, which I like, getting a little extra piece at the end there. But he didn't even need to touch anyone because it was just so well executed. But I just really like that play as a whole.
Yeah, no, agreed.
All right.
Moving on to my guys. I led in the show saying I didn't want to be too negative, and I don't have an LVP. I didn't feel like doing it. I just have two honorable mentions because I thought there were a lot of people that played really well this game. I think the first half woes were kind of, I don't want to say execution, but it was just kind of, we were flat. We didn't play with the same energy. You could see the team just came out kind of fired up. I don't know if you saw the clip of them walking out of the locker room, but I got a hint of it where they were kind of jacked up walking out of their locker room for halftime, and they played like it. They really did. So I want to highlight the positives, and I didn't highlight Harrison Phillips last week when he had a good week, so I want to do it this week. I think he had a bit lesser of a game this week, but it was still a very good week from Harrison Phillips. And this play on play number 1 here, see him lined up at one tech. Sorry, let me get back to the start. You see him lined up at one tech right here. And really, it's just a good example of his athleticism for his size. You can see it's kind of, I don't want to say lateral strength, but it's lateral movement skills. You see him kind of get off that block real quickly, and then he just flows with the offensive lineman here, and he navigates through the trash and makes the play here. Yes, the play was made by Poyer, but Phillips gets there, and that's not necessarily something you're expecting from one tech, and that's why I put it in here. It's not like this is some crazy world-beating play or anything, but this is impressive to see from someone who's 315 pounds, however big Harrison Phillips is. Like, he's really moving, and it does seem, especially with the last 2 games that he's played, like he's getting healthier. Like he's really recovering from that ACL injury. He looks like he's staying on his feet more, which is a gripe that we've had, where he's kind of like he ends up on his knees when he's getting blocked. Like, he's staying on his feet more. He's got the balance. He trusts his legs more, all that kind of stuff. So I really like this play just because it kind of looks like Stanford Harrison Phillips, where he's moving with the plays, being athletic, but he's also being strong at the point of attack.
Yeah, and that's, you put it very well. And he's strong at the point of attack, sheds the block, and continues with the play. We might be seeing this play later. I can't remember if I used this for somebody else. Yeah, I you gave me all the plays you were going to use, and I apparently just didn't look at it at all. But yeah, I mean, Harrison does a good job of working his way over, and I think the eyes in the backfield is something that's such a good strength of his, where he's able to keep those eyes up and see where the play is going. And it pays off here, and he's able to contribute to the tackle.
100%. All right, so we will move on to the next one. See him here again in the 1 tech, and this is Oliver over here at the 3 tech. Another run play. Another time, yet again, where it's not necessarily him making the play. Like, this is other people making the play, but he's getting in there, and that's really what I'm trying to focus on. The fact that he does have some upside here. You can see him get around this block. Like, this is a tough block to make, but he makes a hard move on that right shoulder from the center, and he gets around him with his strength, his balance, and his athleticism. Like, he stays up there, and he's reaching for who's that, Ronald Jones, and he falls on top of him. Like, he is there for the play. Technically, I'm pretty sure he got an assisted TFL on this play. Did he make the play? Not really, but he was there because he was athletic enough, and that's really what I'm trying to highlight. There is a void in this team at 1 tech. We've seen how this team looks when Starr is out and Harrison isn't playing well. And we've seen how it looks when Harrison is playing well, or when Starr is playing well. So I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, we got to move on from Star. And I'm trying to highlight the fact that if we do move on from Star, which would be a financial burden, at least to a little extent, Harrison Phillips isn't necessarily going to be the answer, but he's going to be a great depth piece to rotate in at one tech at probably a pretty reasonable cost. So that's kind of why I want to give him some love, because I think the team loves him. He's a great locker room presence. And it's not like this dude is trash. Like, yes, he was a third rounder and he's probably underperformed because of all the injuries and stuff. But you can see, like, there are flashes. He flashed prevalently this preseason. Like, I mean, this dude looked like he was going to have a breakout year. And while he hasn't, he has made some splash plays in the regular season. And not saying this is one of them, but you can see where the athleticism is. And it just kind of needs to be put together on a consistent basis. And I guess, yeah, that comes down to the whole team as well as an individual basis. Players have to play a bit more consistently from play to play. And I think that also goes for Harrison. But I thought he was average in terms of consistency this game. He really didn't have any glaringly bad plays.
Yeah, and I was super excited about Harrison Phillips coming into the season and coming out of the preseason, because he did look really, really good. And then, yeah, he had that another slight injury to his knee and, maybe kind of dropped off a little bit. But it's good to see that he's playing like this, especially, he's in a contract season, which is big. So hopefully they can keep him around, because they need all the help that they can get up there on the defensive front.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I got to talk about it, because while the D-line didn't play well, the D-line did all right in run defense, minus the 1 Fournette touchdown. All right, so we'll move on to this last play here from Harrison. Once again, lined up in the one tech. Sorry, all of these are run defense. I didn't find anything like crazy eye-popping in terms of pass rush. He did push the pocket a little bit on, I believe this is Marpet here. He did do a pretty good job pushing the pocket, but nothing crazy. Tom gets the ball out quickly, so it's kind of tough to pull any clips from that. But this is really just a great play to speak to his strength, where the last two were his athleticism, his lateral mobility for someone his size. This is strength. This is power. This is leverage. This is trusting that knee. This is all that stuff. And he puts it together and pushes his guy and really completely demolishes the run gap. You can see there is a clear way for Fournette to weave through this to the left as it's forming, as I don't know, whoever that is getting rid of Anku in the middle there. And Harrison just gets rid of that run gap and completely takes out Fournette on his own while taking care of a block. So I really like this play because it speaks to his strength, not only his athleticism. He was in control of that blocker the entire time.
Yeah, and the strength is definitely, and that's a very good guard in Ali Marpet there. And Eli Anku also doing a pretty good job of playing across the face of the offensive lineman he's against. Neither of those defensive tackles get chipped, and they make the play. It's Anku definitely kind of slows Fournette down in the backfield a little bit, forces him to make sure that he's tight up through that cutback lane.
Right.
And then Harrison's there, in the lane to finish it off. So that if you don't want to double RD tackles, those are the plays that they need to be making.
Yep, 100%. So yeah, there is obviously some area for improvement on the defensive line in terms of run defense. We all know how we've been this year with run defense, but there are good plays. It's just really easy to remember the bad plays.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Speaking of bad plays, unfortunately,
you picked an LVP.
I do have an LVP, and unfortunately, it's Spencer Brown. And I know we talked about him last week as well. He had a little bit of a disappointing performance. This one was even worse, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that he had a terrible game the whole game. He had a decent amount of very good reps where he's keeping the guy in front of him, or keeping him, creating the pocket for Josh. He had a good amount of plays where he was performing well, but I think he also had a lot of really bad losses on some of his reps. So we're just going to take a look at a couple of them. He's up at the top of the line of scrimmage here. And this was the first one here is mostly a mental mistake. Just not understanding that the blitzer's coming off the edge here. So he just thinks that this is the only guy he has to worry about, and he doesn't know about this guy coming out when it would be a hat on a hat if he goes out and
Mm-hmm.
takes this defensive back, which would be, no problem for him, regardless of that speed. I'm sure he can use his length to make sure that he keeps him away from Josh and forms the pocket for him. But it's just a mental mistake. You can even see where he realizes, oh crap, that's my guy, as he's running back there and hitting his quarterback. So that one kind of sucked just because it's one of the mental mistakes, and he's a rookie. He's on a learning curve. We get it. We didn't expect him to be perfect from day one, but this is just one of those struggles.
Yeah, this is definitely, like you said, the rookie mistakes, learning on the job. This is part of it. This is part of starting a rookie at offensive tackle, especially a third rounder. Like he has tons of upside, but this kind of stuff is going to happen. The plus side is he's going to learn from stuff like this. Like mental mistakes are the easiest ones to learn from. Physical mistakes take the longest to correct because you have to physically be stronger or faster. That takes a while to correct. This is as simple as looking at the film like we are, and I'm sure he's all over it next time.
Yep.
This is a protection where you can see like Dawkins is one-on-one. Dawkins is the only one who's clearly dropping into a typical pass set, and everyone else is flowing right. Even Dawkins was flowing right at the snap, but because of where Tryon was rushing, he was forced to go back into his traditional spot. But with everyone flowing right like they were, it was odd to see Brown get so stuck in tunnel vision on Shaq Barrett there. It would have been nice to just get a little chip on Barrett and then go out, because I think Brown has the athleticism where he could afford a chip there and kind of work into recovery mode. I think he has the athleticism, like you said, the length to do that, to recover in that fashion. But yeah, it's part of the learning process. Hopefully it doesn't happen in the future, but I agree with the lead into this. Like, while he didn't play an awful game, he deserves LVP because he alone is probably a big part of the reason that we didn't score more points in the first half, because we had some drives moving and he cost us some pressures. And of course, Josh Allen has to do some stuff after the pressures.
Yeah, and even like he even gave up a couple sacks, which is not common with Josh Allen, especially if the rusher's coming off the right side. He can usually evade and roll right, but he even had a few that Josh wasn't able to escape, and that's pretty tough. But yeah, I just wanted to go take a look at it from this angle here. You can see, it's not like he's not lined up on the line of scrimmage, looking like he might rush either. So
right, he's a threat. Like 26 is a threat here.
Yeah, so I don't really know if they thought maybe 5-4 was going to blitz, in which case that I think Devin Singletary might chip or not. I don't know, but yeah, it's just one of those little mental mistakes.
Yeah.
Moving on, because he had quite a few, like I said, bad reps here. Once again at the top of the line of scrimmage, and it's just another one-on-one loss, and this time it's on a speed rush.
Yeah,
and Josh is pretty much let out to dry for a couple reasons. Devin Singletary doesn't really do much, and then who's that linebacker there, White, comes down as well. Just tough. It's just a bad loss by Brown, and it isn't able to engage the hands well. We'll switch to the other angle. I think it's behind him. It's not. He's just not able to really engage well with the hands. And as who is that, Barrett?
That's Barrett again.
Swims underneath and gets through, and it's he's dead in the water already from here. I think technically this was a sack. I think they got Josh before he got back to the line of scrimmage. But even still, Josh was able to get back to the line of scrimmage just because he is who he is. But yeah, this one's definitely on Spencer Brown.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, he kind of whiffs on the hand fighting game there. I mean, yeah, Shaq Barrett does a good job kind of swiping away those hands and then getting around the edge and hitting that rip move the way he did. It's tough. Like, that's a tough assignment for Spencer Brown, but we know he has the length and athleticism to get there and get in position to make that play. That's why it's frustrating. And of course, the end result makes it even more frustrating. But I remember watching this play live and I was like, why is Josh so like tunnel visioned on escaping the pocket and rushing? But once I saw it on all 22, I was like, there was no one open. The pocket collapsed too quickly. Like, yeah, if you get on the sideline angle, you can see, like, I think Knox is the only one that's open, and it's probably the longest developing route of all the routes that went out there on this play. it needed sound protection, and we didn't get it. I mean, even Dawkins, I don't want to say Dawkins lost on this because he recovered here,
Yeah.
but he lost to the inside, and it forced Josh to go outside, and then that leaves Devin White one-on-one with our quarterback. Like, it was just kind of the way that they rushed us and the way we happened to lose those blocks. It kind of just all fell in the right way for the Bucs on this play.
Yeah, and even still, I mean, if Shaq Barrett's not available in the backfield there, and all Josh has to do is get through Devin White, he got past Devin White,
right?
And still probably would have been able to escape the pocket and maybe pick up a couple yards here. But yeah, if that pressure is not coming from the backside, he gets away from White right there. All he's got to do is run forward from there, and he might be able to pick up a few yards for all we know. So yeah, just another one of those things where it's just frustrating. All right, we've got a couple more. He's down at the bottom now. And this one was another loss to the outside. And this one, it's just a pure loss. Like, I don't even really know how to describe it. It's like he never really gets his hands to do anything on this one. And this is the one that ended up being an interception to Richard Sherman, which hurt. So I don't know. Let me go to the other angle here so we can see it a little bit closer at least. But just a really bad loss here and forcing Josh to run around back there. I'll try to slow it down if I can. But yeah, the first hand placement right from the get-go is tossed right away by Shaq Barrett. Josh somehow escapes like he does, but it's still not the result that we're looking for. But yeah, the initial hand placement right in there is taken away very well actually by Shaq Barrett, and then that's it from there. There's no hope. So it's tough. I mean, it's a great pass rush, but you got to be ready with that second hand in case you get swiped away like that, because the hand fighting is everything. And this rep, I think the most is kind of what I was expecting more of from him this season, because we knew that he was coming in as a raw prospect and might not be, completely ready to face good pass rushers like this.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the hand fighting is definitely part of it. I mean, when you're playing guys in college, like, typically people are winning around the edge with athleticism, not absolute pass rushing refinement like that. Like,
right.
That is excellent hand fighting by Shaq Barrett there. You can see him just quickly swipe that right arm away, and he gets around it. It was very quick. But I want to give a shout out here to one of our loyal supporters, Richard Rush. Says that Spencer's biggest problem is his footwork. And I definitely agree that it's one of his biggest problems. I think it's really all of those little technical nuances here. It's that he has the athleticism, and sometimes, like I said, with edge rushers, you can just win on athleticism in college. And I think that's what he did in college. Spencer Brown, I think he won with athleticism. And I think he did that to a pretty decent extent in the NFL for a little bit while he's been winning. It's with athleticism. Is he more refined than he was in college? Yeah, but he still needs more refinement in those technical areas like hand fighting and footwork. I think right here, it's just very clear that he lost this because of technical skills. I think he probably could have waited a little bit on that one arm punch with his right arm. I felt like it was just a little early, a little bit lungy of him. I feel like he didn't have to get out there so quick. Like, yes, he's long, but that was a long punch. Like, it was going to be tough for that to land. I feel like he could have waited another half step from Barrett, and he probably could have packed a heavier punch on that one. So it's a tough assignment for him, but hopefully it's a learning process, and hopefully all of these little things, like I said, the mental loss is one you can learn from a lot quicker than a loss like this, because losing a rep like this takes a lot of practice reps to perfect and to nail down. So I think he can do it, but it's going to take time.
Yeah, I agree. And the footwork is a good point. And he could make up for it before because of that athleticism. So yeah, that's tough. A lot of people are saying in the chat too, he's a rookie and he will learn. And yes, I agree with that 100%.
Yep.
But I still, want to make sure that we're talking about, the come up a little bit as well, because he was an issue in this game. And I know a lot of the fans are, when he was out with COVID, they're on the COVID list. A lot of people were, we need him back. We need him back. And we got to remember he's still a rookie, and he
Mm.
can't always do these things that are expected of him sometimes. This is another rep where he just loses. I think it's another hand fight loss where he tries to get that first hand out, swiped away immediately. Josh has to run around a little bit, and nothing comes of it. It's a pretty good move, really,
Yeah.
to the inside. And so, once again, it's not like he's going against scrubs and
No.
losing to them. He's going against good pass rushers with good pass rush moves. But that's one of the ones where it's like, oh yeah, you can kind of tell he's a rookie here because he's just not ready for that at all. And his momentum's going the wrong way, even still while he's cutting back in. The feet are off, and you can see it here pretty well. But yeah, just not a good one here.
Yeah, this is tough. This once again, this is a tough assignment. Like I'd argue he's in pretty good position. Yes, it looks a little bit lungy at the point of attack, but
Yeah,
look at the way JPP is taking that rush angle. Like everything says speed rush about this until it doesn't. Like
yeah,
this is just a really good pass rush move. And while Spencer Brown probably should have stayed in front of him, I mean, what are you gonna do? That's just a good move. Sometimes you got to give credit where credit is due, and that's kind of what we said last week with that Dawson Knox drop. Like sometimes you got to give credit to your opponent. And yes, this is a bad rep from Spencer Brown, but sometimes the opponent is just better.
yeah.
And not to say that Spencer Brown can't be better, because I think he will. But I think this is just a tough one for him. Like that was just a great rush. Do you mind going back to right here on this end zone view? I want to make sure we hit this. John DeMarchi super chat. Thank you. Appreciate it, John. He says, why do Bills never chip with tight end versus speed ends like Barrett? And it's funny because I didn't know that this play was coming up. And then it happened.
Really funny.
And then the chat starts talking about missing Lee Smith and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I do agree. I don't think we do a ton of chips. What I've noticed is we do a ton of chips on like 3rd and long, and Knox will do this chip flat. He'll hit the guy real quick and then just run out into the flat and just kind of wait to see if Josh needs a security blanket kind of thing. And I think they do that a little bit with Devin too, on 3rd and longs where he would, I mean, I don't know, this is probably a protection thing where they wanted him to go to the middle, but instead he would get out on the edge, give a little chip, and then kind of go into a swing route. That's something I've seen a lot this season, but I've really only seen it on 3rd and longs. Yeah, I wouldn't hate seeing it on 2nd and longs if, replacing the run game. Like that chip flat route is deceptive at times. Sometimes you can see Levante David is all over it on this play. He's all over Dawson Knox chip flat route right here. But I don't know, on 2nd and long, maybe they're playing a little bit more of a soft zone. I don't know. I'm kind of just talking out of my ass at this point, but really at the end of the day, I do think they probably could use a little bit more chips on the edge, especially with the way, I mean, it's Spencer Brown. Like he's a rookie. I mean, I'd understand doing it on his side more than doing it on Deion Dawkins' side, but also it could be manipulated by who the edge rusher is on defense.
Right. And, the formation that you want to go with and where you want to put Knox for it. So, but yeah, they have run it here and there, the tight end chip. And yeah, it is pretty funny. Thank you for, first of all, John DeMarchi for the chat there. But yes, they do run it every once in a while. And I'm glad they did on this play, because that's pretty funny. I think Dawson even had somewhat of a pancake earlier this season.
Yes, on a chip.
Not mistaken. Yeah, and it was on a chip where the guy just didn't expect him to chip him, and he put him on his ass. So it works when they do it sometimes. So yeah. All right, I'm done with Spencer Brown. We can move on to more positive stuff now.
All right, cool. So I'm on to my next honorable mention, and I hope people noticed him because I really thought Dane Jackson had a really good game, all things considered, against a prolific offense like this. Like he played really well. Gave up some passes here and there, but he had, I think, a couple of pass defense. I'm gonna show a tough one here that probably no one wants to see, but I'm gonna show it anyways because I think it was good defense. But you can see Dane Jackson here. This is a cover 1, which is really impressive because I have 2 pass plays and 1 rush play. Both pass plays are in cover 1, which means they're relying on Dane Jackson in man coverage. Not only are they relying on him in man coverage, they're relying on him in press man coverage against Gronkowski. And I don't know about you guys, but I thought this was great coverage. I will admit this probably should be flagged as it was because of that left arm. I really hate that it was flagged because it was really ticky-tacky because
Yeah.
he's in great position. You really shouldn't penalize someone
We
for
didn't
being
we didn't
in
see any
phase.
close calls this game though, so
Should we get going? Should we get on the soapbox?
we can't. We'll be here till 10. 10 your time.
But no, I thought this was great coverage. I also think it is a penalty, but I still think it's great coverage at the end of the day. It's just the way the rule book is set up is just not going to favor any DBs in a position like this. If that left arm is more around his rib cage instead of his shoulder, I don't think this is called. And the fact that one left arm being a foot higher than it should have been is going to draw a penalty is crazy because this is great coverage, and you can see it from this angle the whole way through. You can really see he's perfectly in phase in between his man and the quarterback, which is probably what you should be doing against a tight end because you should probably trust your speed over a tight end speed. And yeah, he's perfectly in phase. I don't know what else you want him to do. He also turns his head, locates the football, gets a hand on. There's so many positives to take from this play, yet they all get taken away because of a flag. So
Yep.
It's just a rough one. I'm sorry I had to show it, but we do need to acknowledge that although the outcome is poor because of the flag, the execution was great.
Yeah. And, he's had to step up in these moments a few times now in his very short career of reps that he's had in the NFL. And he's had to go against some really good guys in man-to-man coverage, press man-to-man coverage, and he's done it. So like this play, and I'm sure the next one that you show, or it's in here somewhere, are just it's so awesome to see him, take on a guy like Gronk, who's, weighs probably 50 pounds more than him, and go up and be aggressive with him and get his hands in his face. And frankly, I'd rather we get a pass interference on Gronk than let him catch the football. So that's fine with me. Don't let him catch the football because he can then run it into the end zone because he's done that his entire career. Give him the penalty. Honestly, I would take it over than letting him catch it. But the arm placement is really, really funny because of one of the plays that I don't think I didn't show it the last time that we did Dane Jackson film, but I did it the first time that I did a Dane Jackson show, and he was covering Chase Claypool on a deep route, and he put his arm around Chase Claypool's shoulder, and it would have been a perfect play if he just put it around his waist. And it's like exactly the same situation where all he has to do is just lower that arm, put it under Gronk's arm, put it under Chase Claypool's arm, and it's not going to happen. The Chase Claypool thing was in college, by the way. It was Notre Dame versus Pitt.
Right.
But it's one of those things. That's another rookie mistake where it's funny how I've talked about, hey, you got to put that hand around the waist, and he wouldn't get called for that.
No, he wouldn't.
In this game, maybe, but if he keeps his arm down low, then I don't think he gets called for that.
The funny thing too is like if you keep your arm underneath Gronk's right arm here, if he starts to catch the football, you just rip your arm up and it makes it harder for the catch. I don't know where he was taught to do this or if it's just some sort of habit that he's built up, especially since you said you saw it in college. I didn't know that it was a tendency of his. I don't really understand the technique of it. Of course, if someone's arm is draped over your shoulder, it's going to make it more difficult to catch the ball, but it's going to make it more easy to call. So I don't know. It's very
it is very weird too, because I feel like most DBs are coached up to put your arm around like the guy's waist, and then you go up with the other hand so that you're there to tackle him. It's really weird that he goes high like that.
Yeah. Quickly before I move on to the next play, this is just a quick 1/11th from Tremaine Edmunds. Like, this is literally nothing, but it's at the same time, like, this is what we get from all the plays where you don't notice him and you're like, oh, he's trash. Like, he's doing this on all those other plays where this is a cover one rat where we got the deep safety and he's dropping into this middle zone here. Everyone else is manned up. We see Milano here, Jackson here, Hyde here, Teron here on Godwin, Levi down here, but you see that Teron is way far behind Godwin on this drag route because of the stacked formation, that little tiny bunch, because of that short in motion from Godwin. And because Teron is trailing, not necessarily because Teron is trailing, but because of Tremaine's IQ, he sees that there's more receivers to his right. So he gets his eyes over there, which is actually something we broke down in our first Tremaine Edmunds film session, where we said we'd like to see him look to the side with more receivers. He does it on this play. He identifies there's 2 crossers, and he gets right in front of them and takes away Godwin. Obviously, he's got to leave one open. You can't guard 2 guys in his own. I mean, you could with his length, but he takes away one, and it's just a 111th. It's a quick 111th. Clay, if you want to add anything, you can, but I feel like we just got to appreciate the little things from Tremaine.
No, yeah, that was good. I have nothing to add on that.
Cool. All right, so we're going to get on to the next one, and this is something we've kind of come to expect from Dane Jackson, and it's run defense.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like run defense, like run clogging or anything like that, but he's good in run support. Like, he is trusty and consistent with his tackling, and you see it here as he goes low on Fournette. But what I really love about this play is how I don't want to say he sells out for the run, but he starts to understand that it's probably a run. The motion, once he sees the motion from Godwin, I see you, Richard. I appreciate that. I honestly do. But yeah, no, I like how you can kind of see that he's like, oh, maybe this is a run just because of this quick little short in motion from Godwin to help out whoever this is on the edge right here for the run block. And he takes a slight step forward, and it brings him right into perfect position. And I'll show you on the end zone camera. It's really a great job of setting the edge because it's Poyer there on the edge, and Godwin picks him up, makes it easier for Fournette to read the inside. And then if he has to, he bounces it, which is exactly what he does. And Dane is just in perfect position and then just makes a nice form tackle. There's not much more to it, but I did like the nuance of how he was probably tipped off by the play because of that short in motion.
Yeah, it's he's so instinctive, which is something that a lot of people have said about him. And he can sniff out that run, but the way that he comes downhill like that and kind of stances himself up to cover the edge like he's freaking Greg Rousseau or something is just really cool to see a young guy step up and be so confident in his ability to play the edge in the run game like that. And that's pretty much what we were expecting of him because he's did it all through college. He did it against the Saints. He did it against the Patriots. So, it's no surprise that he's able to do this kind of stuff.
100%. And I think he had more than just this tackle. This was probably the best depth of tackle that he had. So I figured I'd add it. All right. And then we'll move on to the last one here for Dane Jackson. And once again, guys, he's manned up with Gronk down here. And this is another cover one, but instead of the cover one rat where we have a linebacker chilling in this middle area here, this is a cover one blitz. So everyone is alone except for this deep safety. This is the only help that everyone else has. Other than that, everyone is manned up. And you see once again, Dane in press man coverage. He's not really fully engaging, but he is mirror matching with his footwork. Once again, perfectly in phase in between his man and the quarterback. And once again, the ball skills, like he's identifying the football in the air. And yeah, there was some contact going both ways. You can see here, like this probably by the letter of the law is DPI, but when you see it on this angle, you see there's some give back from Gronk too. So, I mean, what do you want a defender to do? This is picture perfect defense. You see him get his hand in there in the catch point and he breaks up the catch. It's just, he really has some promise. And I think we all felt the step back that the defense took in pass defense this past week, but to see these little individual performances on a play-by-play basis from Dane Jackson is very encouraging. And it speaks to what Brandon Beane talked about this offseason, saying like, oh yeah, we think we have a real gem in this guy, Dane Jackson. Like, these are the kind of plays that he's making that's proving to this coaching staff and to the front office that this was a steal in the draft. And I still think it is, even if he ends up being a depth piece for years. Like this guy is a masterful depth. He's just a really good depth piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited to see more Dane. Honestly, like I said, I really wish that we didn't have to see him in a
Right,
way, because
right.
that means that something bad has happened. But he is a lot of fun to watch, and he's such an exciting, unknown, where everyone loves, the practice squad hero and
Right.
these guys that are, he's a 6th-round draft pick, or is he 7th or 6th-round draft pick? I
He's
can't even
7th.
remember. And he's one of those guys where he has shown flashes of excellence, and this is one of those things. And what I love about this is that he doesn't shy away from the physicality, and he is initiating some of the physicality himself as well. And that's what you need to do against Gronkowski, because he will be
Yes.
physical against you. And if you aren't, they're not going to call him for offensive pass interference pretty much at all. But if you're hand fighting with him, they're not going to call defensive pass interference. That's Gronk. So lightly speaking, we saw it last time, but it was pretty obvious the arm was wrapped around. So unless you make it obvious, they're not going to call it. And he keeps his hands in tight for the most part. He's grabbing the jersey, but it's in on the shoulder where it's not as noticeable to any of the refs. And then he times it pretty well of getting that hand in there.
Yeah.
I just really like some of the stuff that he has, and his ability to do this man-to-man coverage, which is not really something that even Trey, I think, is a master at, is man-to-man stuff, whereas Dane can do this press coverage. Is really cool.
Right. Yeah. He brings that physical element to the game. He's not necessarily the burner on the outside where he can stay with anyone on the outside because of his athleticism. But I mean, it begs the question, like, Levi's on a 1-year contract. Like, is Dane the guy to step into that CB2 role and we move on from Levi? Or are we trying to extend Levi and keep Dane as a depth piece? And then here comes the traction for not drafting a cornerback this year again for Brandon Beane. Like, there's a lot of different ways that this could roll out because of the development of Dane Jackson. And like you said, as much as I don't want to see him, it's really nice that he's getting these reps, because he's only going to get better from these reps. And we already see the foundation that he's working with, and it's really promising.
Yeah, well, let's bring up John and Marchie's chat. Really, thank you very much, John and Marchie. Gets shout out old school OG Ronald Ringler. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who is in chat and was a Bills fan since 1963.
Ooh.
He saw the 64 AFL title team. Wow, that is absolutely incredible. Thank you for joining us, Ronald. That is really cool. And John, thank you for sharing that information. That's pretty awesome. Did you see that was back when I don't remember any of these guys' names. There was a Bills linebacker who broke this guy on the Chargers' ribs in the title game, I think, in 64.
I think I've seen
it's one of
this.
those iconic plays where the Chargers were kind of running the AFL at the time. The Bills were kind of scrappy, and it was
Not
like
much
the
has
best player
changed,
in the
let's
league.
be honest.
Sorry. Yes, thank you, Ronald. I'm not surprised that you know it, but yes, that was it's an iconic play in Bills history and in the history of the AFL, really, I think. So that's pretty awesome. Wow. Thank you for being here with us. All right, I think we could probably move on to who I've got next here. So let me pull that up. And the other guy that I want to talk about is Jordan Poyer. And that's just because I feel like we haven't really talked about him enough this season in film session, and he's having a very, very good season. So I wanted to talk about him because he did have a very solid game. And he's back here. He's this safety. And I think this was the Harrison Phillips play. It's at least we got a different angle on it, though. But I really like this play just because Jordan Poyer is starting, at about a 8 to 10 yard depth here.
Yeah.
And he comes all the way up and fights through traffic a little bit and makes the tackle in the hole. That's just a Jordan Poyer thing, is to be able to fill like a linebacker, even if he's from that safety spot. So yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this one, but yeah, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, same thing. It's really incredible because you see him in a back pedal at the time of the snap. You see him subtly backpedaling to that 8-9 yard depth, like you were talking about. And I mean, his read step is really almost instantaneous. He just plants that left foot in his back pedal and he's just downhill run fill. It's really incredible how this dude can be used, because you want your safeties to be able to be interchangeable, which is what we have in Poyer and Hyde. We have interchangeable safeties, but Poyer is like the true definition of interchangeable. Like, Hyde can be downhill and play and run support, but Poyer is like that perfect. He's just he strikes that perfect balance of run support and being able to drop into a deep half or play center field if he has to. He is the true definition of interchangeable safety.
Yeah, I do want to bring this comment up because this is something that I saw immediately throughout this game. Gronk was holding Rousseau all freaking day, right on the end of the line of scrimmage, in perfect view of the judge that's on the line there to see, and it was never called once, which I think is total bullshit. He's doing it here, where he is very, very clearly tugging at the shoulder pads of Greg Rousseau, and it's not getting called. And I don't know if that was a coached up thing where it's like, hey, this Rousseau kid's really good, just hold him, and we'll see if we can get away with it. And they did. It's just one more thing to be mad about. If anyone
aren't the refs just a great thing? How you can kind of just roll the dice and just like, you know what? Why don't we cheat and see if we get caught? And if we don't, cool, we'll keep going with it until we do.
Yeah, honestly,
great system we got.
Like, really, I don't think he ever stopped because he never got called. So he's like, I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Why would you stop? There's no reason to stop.
Yeah, ridiculous. Anyway, we saw this one from the other angle as well already, but we'll show it real quick here. Poyer coming up, making a nice play.
Gets a good angle on the hole in that end zone.
This one is very similar kind of to the Dane Jackson plays where it's Poyer one-on-one versus Gronk. And I think if Tom Brady sees Gronk one-on-one with anyone,
he's going for it.
Yeah, he's gonna say, well, I like those odds, I'm gonna throw that. And he puts one up for him. This is just such good defense by Jordan Poyer. First of all, realizing, the Gronk is running the out and up because he almost is kind of taking a step forward here, but he drops back with him, goes kind of stride for stride with him, and then the looking back to identify the ball. He doesn't know where the ball is. He knows where Gronk's eyes and arms are, and the way that he reacts to Gronk going for the catch, to look back for the football, to make sure that he doesn't get a pass interference, and even bats the ball down himself. Perfect safety play here against like a really freaking good tight end.
Yeah, this is a really good play. Yeah, like you said, it's against one of the best tight ends in the league, despite all of his injury lists. But either way, like, this is a great recovery. You kind of see Jordan Poyer cheating that second level. Like, he really wants to take something away and rob something. And once he sees the streaking Rob Gronkowski, he gets into recovery mode real quick. And yeah, he makes the play. It's really funny you added this play, though. I didn't know that you were doing Jordan Poyer. This was going to be one of my plays if I used Tremaine Edmunds. If anyone wants to leave, go ahead and leave. But like, this is a great play by Tremaine Edmunds. He's playing the Gronk stick and nod until he doesn't have to. You see him kind of threaten that seam upfield, and Tremaine carries him as long as he can within his zone responsibilities. He stays with him as long as he can, and then he sees that drag route underneath by Tyler Johnson there, number 18. And he picks him up immediately. And like you said, I think at the end of the day, Tom wasn't dictated to throw it to Gronk because of where Tremaine was. I think he threw it to Gronk because Gronk was one-on-one. But at the end of the day, Tremaine took away, I don't want to say two routes, but he took away a route. Like, he took away the beginning of this stick nod. Like, it was really never meant to be an out route, but you sell the out route on the stick nod where you see Gronk look over that right shoulder real quick and then head upfield through the seam. But I really like this play and pass coverage from Edmunds because I know he gets shat on for his zone coverage.
And actually, I think Brady wanted to go to that underneath route because he kind of pump fakes
he did pump right there.
But Edmunds covered it up so well that he had to go take the 50-50 ball with Gronk instead. Which is pretty cool because that's not something that I noticed either. But yeah, this is, I definitely think, a coaching point. This was a play recognition type of a play where he said, oh, Gronk is trying to run me off. He sees through Gronk and sees this little, kind of switch that they're doing up here. And he looks back to see where Tom's looking. Sure enough, right where that route is going to end up. Let me go take that one away. And Tom has to rethink things and then toss it up. That's so cool. I didn't even realize that before.
I'm telling you, I think I have 17 plays on note for Tremaine Edmunds this game. I think 5 of them I took note as bad. So the rest are either just straight middled, like just did his job, nothing good, nothing bad. But there are some that he did good. I mean, we gotta start putting some value on the plays that he does well for. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I gotta get off my soap.
All right, we'll talk about Jordan Poyer one last time, and it's another one of those plays where he is coming up and playing the run, and this one's even better than the first one.
Yeah, that was so good.
Because he is shot out of a cannon to get into the backfield. He makes the tackle like at the line of scrimmage. It's completely ridiculous that your safety comes up that fast and makes the tackle at the line of scrimmage like that. I mean, what more can you ask for from the guy?
Yeah, once again, the read steps, you can just see he's very disciplined. Like
Yeah.
he's not
He
like you see him
hesitates
literally
even, yeah.
freeze. Like he's like, I'm not gonna sell out for this because I know Tom's good with his play action. So he was very disciplined here. And then the second he saw the handoff, he, like you said, shot out of a cannon like that. It's just really impressive.
Yeah. And there's really nothing more to say about it, that it's play recognition,
Yeah.
doesn't commit too fast, and then makes an incredible athletic play. And that's just what Jordan Poyer does. So yeah, just wanted to talk about him a little bit and give him a little bit of that recognition that he deserves, even though, it's the Bills don't really have sexy plays for safeties, kind of, where it's like what the safeties do is they fill in like linebackers in the run game, and they don't even really get targeted that much in the pass game because people are afraid to throw it in their area. So if they do throw it out, deep somewhere, it's usually there's no one in the vicinity because no one really wants to throw toward these safeties. So, but he is playing very well. So I wanted to get some of those more fun plays in there, and make sure you vote him into the Pro Bowl, because Micah Hyde, I think, is leading free safeties right now. So make sure you get in there and get Poyer up to get in there as well. We want those guys playing in the Pro Bowl together. Well, actually, we don't want them playing in the Pro Bowl at all.
Yeah, but we want them to get the acknowledgement of the Pro Bowl.
Be voted there. So
exactly. So did you do all your 10 plays?
That's all my 10 plays. I did 4 plays for Spencer Brown. I snuck it in there.
That's what I thought. All right, so I wanted to double check. I got 1 play left, and I know you want to talk about this point, and it's establishing the pass. Do you want to just do you want to just talk about establishing the pass and the philosophy that you're, because I was the one who was like, we need to run it a little bit more, and I was dead fucking wrong.
No. See, the way that I see that this offense operates is everything flows through Josh Allen, and we certainly saw that against the Buccaneers. So everyone knows that. Every team knows that. It's, you have to stop Josh Allen. You have to stop Josh Allen. They probably don't even care that much about stopping the run, because it's not that hard, because the offensive line isn't that good. So you focus on stopping Josh Allen. When you use Josh Allen in ways where you get the ball out to short throws, quick throws, get them out toward the sideline, stretch the field horizontally, get your guys the ball, get your playmakers the ball in space, let them do something, but just get it out and away. That opens up the run game so much more than I think the run game is able to open up the Bills' pass game and play action game, because they can run play action and it'll be successful regardless of if they can run the ball effectively, because Josh Allen's very good at play action and it helps with the blocking. So establish the pass, to me, is you passing the ball is what they want to stop. So if you can get those quick passes out there, they're going to start worrying about that pass even more, and they're not going to be thinking about the run as much. And then you surprise them with run plays, which is exactly what they did. Devin Singletary averaged like 11 yards per carry in this game because they ran very timely run plays with him, and because they established the pass, it worked.
So that was perfect. I'm really glad I made you do that prelude, because literally everything you said happens on this play. This is the first handoff to a running back of the game. It is a fortunate play call because they had a slot blitz coming from up here. It is very fortunate. Do not get me wrong. And because of that, you see Devin White has to respect the RPO, the quick passing, and he has to get into this window right here. And because of that, he takes his eyes off of Josh Allen, and there's a clear give right there, and a beautiful pulling action. I believe that's Morse, and we saw this work multiple times with the pull too. And Devin Singletary, you said it last week, Devin Singletary at the second level is something special, and we just need to spring him to the second level more often. But yeah, everything that you just described happened on this play. They had to respect the pass. They sent the blitz, not because they were afraid of the run, because they were afraid of Josh Allen getting too much time in the pocket. So they send the blitz, and everyone's kind of like flowing left, but because of the pull too, We have Morse right there, and then Singletary and his vision just completely negates whoever this is, 26, who's actually had a great day against us. Singletary's vision really takes him out of the play because Morse essentially blocks both of them because Singletary cuts it straight up field. And there's that extra burst that we saw him improve on this offseason. He really got to the second level, and I'll be honest, I feel like he probably would have been cut off somewhere near the 40 last year by Antoine Winfield Jr. on this play. So yeah, a lot of things happened on this play, and I couldn't agree with you more. Establishing the pass, it's what we have to do moving forward. We can focus on establishing the run next year if we actually improve the running game in the offseason. But for right now, we need to work with what we got, and what we got is Josh Allen. So we need to flex it until defenses want to defend it. And when they do, we pull out this, and it works.
And I still think this might even be an RPO, like a true RPO, where Josh could have.
I think it could have been all of it.
He could have pulled it, thrown to Diggs if he wanted to.
Could have pulled it, thrown it to Diggs. I think he could have pulled it and ran. I think this is a true RPO with 3 options. Yeah. So yeah, all of it. Like we know the playbook is creative enough where they're always going to give Josh a chance to read the play in the best way that he can. I didn't even show the beautiful end zone angle of Morse and
Morse on this play looks so good. Even
Williams exactly. I can't believe I didn't show
on
this.
The outside. They created a tunnel. This looked like the Minnesota Vikings versus Pittsburgh Steelers game. Like this was like the floodgates are opening for Devin Singletary. It was really cool.
But you know why this happens? It's because we established the pass, entire first half. So I think obviously we overdid it in the first half. Like we probably should have ran it 3 times with a running back or something like that in the first half. But it got the job done for the second half. So it's just about finding the sweet spot for what they want to do in terms of establishing the pass, because I think they leaned into it a little too hard. But you can see like there is some merit to be had about establishing the pass because it can spring plays like this. So
and when your offense looks like that and is effective in the ways that it's effective, you can't run it like a normal offense. You can't run it like you have a run game, because you don't. You have to run it like you have a pass game, and you need to support the run game with it. And that's not traditional, but that's the way they got to look at it.
Yeah. No, it's just the way this team is currently constructed. I know a lot of people like this week have been going off about like Bean and how bad he is and all that kind of stuff. It's just kind of the team we have right now. We are constructed to hang with the Chiefs and beat the Chiefs, defend the pass and pass the ball and stay competitive in shootouts, things like that. And I think because of how well the defense has been this entire year, McDermott probably wanted to get a little bit more ball control and old school. And unfortunate, this team just isn't built like that. So if we want to find more of a balance in the future, it's going to take an off season of striking that balance, not just philosophically deciding to do that mid-season. There has to be some sort of cohesiveness in terms of a vision of team building. And I think there's just a slight tweak or just a little bit of a missing cog right now in the system in between McDermott and Bean, but I'm sure it'll all get figured out this offseason.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm worried about, if there is a disconnect or who is kind of saying we need to run the ball more. I have a feeling it might not be Dable.
I think it's McDermott.
So it's there's conflict there, but hopefully this game helped whoever wants to run it more realize, hey, we don't really need to run. We need to run. So they need to run more than what they did in the first half for sure, because the run worked in the second half, and I'd rather not take a whole half to set that up. But anyway, the Bills are in a weird position. They're 7-6 is super weird at this point. Is that their record right now? 7-6?
Yeah, you nailed it.
At this point in the season, not what anyone was expecting. Obviously, they haven't been able to win any of their close games. Luckily, their schedule is pretty easy on the closing weeks here. The only real opponent that we should probably be worried about is the Patriots. Josh Allen loves to play in New England for whatever reason. We've seen him play very well there in the past, so hopefully we can get some more of that. But once again, it's not over. Still, if the Bills win out, I think they have like a 90+% chance of making the playoffs. And if they lose one, even if they still lose to the New England Patriots, they can still have like higher than a 75% chance of making the playoffs still. The AFC's wild. And we've said that all year. And I don't care that the Bills aren't winning their close games now. As long as they win them come playoff time, that's what really matters to me. So any closing thoughts about this game or the next?
Not too much about this game. I think we really hit everything on this game, but the next game, I think we really can't take the Panthers lightly. I mean, obviously the fan base will do what the fan base wants to do, but I really hope the team doesn't take the Panthers lightly. Obviously this is a homecoming game. Actually, this is played in Buffalo, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. Either way, it's McDermott and Bean playing the Panthers. So I imagine they're not going to take anything too lightly with the Panthers, but the Panthers have a really young and promising defense. Their offense is 100% struggling, but their defense is legit. They got some real young studs on that defense. So we got to establish the pass. That's just how it goes. Yeah.
And that is very, easier said than done against the Panthers. They have a very, very good defense. So I'm hoping that we can go in there and Josh Allen can just do something crazy against a top defense like that. And, we're just waiting at this point for him to shut everybody up. And we know he has the ability to do it.
He almost did it. He almost did it.
So now if he goes in against like the number 2 defense in the league, really behind the Bills and, plays really well and throws for a bunch of yards and gets touchdowns, then I think we can feel very confident moving forward, because this, I think, is better than the Patriots defense even. And so it's the hardest defense that you got to face. But our defense is also good. We shouldn't give up any points against these guys.
That's the thing.
In the end zone.
Right. Like, I don't know if Cam's going to be playing. I know Matt Rule came out and said that PJ Walker and him are going to be splitting the starting role.
Sam Darnold just got activated, I think.
He was designated to return from IR, which means he can practice now. And there's like a timer. Yeah, like the clock has started and he has to play and be activated within like some window. I don't want to say a number because I don't know. Wherever Chris Janke is, he'll tell me. But the one thing I'm actually really fearful with this game, specifically on that Panthers defense, is Derek Brown. Their defensive tackle, Derek Brown, could give our interior offensive line nightmares. And that is my biggest fear. I hope he doesn't collapse that pocket for Josh Allen too quickly. If he does start doing that and our interior offensive line just kind of shits the bed on that, we got to get the quick passing game going, the RPO game going, something like that to get the ball out quickly because, thank you, Jason Taylor. We have to mitigate our deficiency on the interior offensive line, and Derek Brown is going to exacerbate that issue.
Yeah, that scares me. I don't know like too much about any of their specific players, but yeah, I mean, Mitch Morse has also not been playing his best football in the past few weeks, so that's a little bit concerning. Hopefully he can kind of step back up into that role that he was doing before. He had an okay game last week, definitely, but he's been losing more reps in bigger ways in the past few weeks anyway. So hopefully they can take care of that, because that definitely is scary. I think one of the biggest formulas to beating the Bills is getting interior pressure. So a little bit scary. We need to get the ball away fast and establish the pass, and we'll be good to go. So thank you for everyone for joining us and staying with us the whole time here. We had some good conversation in the chat and we appreciate it. Even visited by a fan for ages here. We appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be talking about a nice Bills win and breaking that down next week. And we'll be right here on Wednesday at 8:15 to break it down. So until then, go Bills.
Go Bills.